Is that me or you today? Me? It is me.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Biggest Geekus. We are your hosts. I am Joe.
And I'm Randy.
This is episode 90 of our show, and the date is Tuesday, May 31st, 2022.
Yep.
I'm finally over whatever it was I had, whether it was the coof or not, remains to be seen.
Cool.
But I had to take this antiviral for 5 days.
Ah.
Yeah, I got experimented on, but not with the vaccine.
Okay.
Made me taste weird stuff. I had a weird taste and smell.
Oh, really?
There's still some residual of that left, but it's almost gone. But apart from that, we're doing good. How about you?
Pretty good. This week was all right. My mom and wife are still suffering from some of the COVID-related crapola. We got a pretty good crowd here. I didn't get to do much of anything, though I did get a sweet, another one of my Indiegogo comics came in today, First Man by Andy Smith. So I'm pretty pumped about that.
Cool. Well, welcome everybody on stream in the chat.
Yeah.
We have lots of familiar faces out there. Legion of Myth, welcome. Mr.
Yep.
And the other Max, the other, I was going to say the other white Max. Yep. I don't know. I don't know this guy.
No, I don't either, but he's cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got a big crowd. Darren P, a lot of folks in the house. That's cool. Good to see everybody. We're going to blow it up today.
Yeah. We will. We will. We have some. Oh, I need to get that ready.
Joe's got 1,000,001 links for us. So that's
I put up a bunch of links so that in between us yakking, if you want to, hey Tim,
hey.
If you want to scan some of those articles, there's a fairly short video as well, but we're not going to play it at all.
I gave Joe some significant homework this week.
Yeah. Plus, then you gave some more last minute.
It's all right. It's more of a reference. I'll just talk a little bit about that. I've read it all before with the Stackpole thing, but
I haven't read anything by him, I don't think.
Polling report. You should read the polling report. It's hyperlinked and everything. So
right.
Yeah.
Hyper. It's hyper.
It's very hyper.
Okay.
So yeah. So this week I just fought the good fight of relaxing for the most part. Going to get out and do a big bike ride tomorrow. I hope in the morning. Or tomorrow afternoon, sorry, I got class. No, I'm not going to have my buddies over tomorrow play any games, and Deb's not feeling good, and I want to stay close to the house. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, Darren P., get ready. Pat Pulley is going to get talked about. You got that right.
Yeah.
Joe loves her.
What a piece of work that lady was.
Poor crazy lady.
Can you say liar?
Poor crazy lady.
Liar.
All right. So you said we had some emails or call-ins or something?
We have some call-ins.
All right.
So let's do this. Oh, gotta undo it. Gotta undo it. Because it doesn't let you share audio after the fact if you screw up, as far as I can tell.
Cool.
So there we go. All right. We got 3 from Taylor.
All right. Man, the myth, the legend.
Playing with randos. Personally, I will play with randos, but I am only going to run for somebody I know. What I mean by that, I'm usually not one to go into a group finder and just kind of sign up for games willy-nilly. I may at a trusted locale, that is, you can usually get a feel for what a game is going to be like based on the description and the kind of people you can expect based on the community that you're looking in. So in that case, I'll sign up for a game because worst case scenario, it sucks. And I will ghost like Casper. Nobody's business right there. You're going to have to cross some streams to get me back into that game.
Yeah. That's an interesting philosophy, don't you think, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, imagine that. Not just simply playing with random people with no filters at all.
He said he would play with randos, but he wouldn't run with them.
Right.
And that's because, you know why? It makes a good point, Taylor. That's too much investment, dude, on your side if you're going to be a DM for a bunch of guys. That you may set up a campaign. Next thing you know, very first session, you're like, dude, I'm out. These guys are nuts. Yeah, true.
Running a game, a little different. You can't really just drop running a game. If it's hot, you just got to hope your mitts are good enough. So these days, I will only run a game with people I know. Now, I don't have to know you in person. I don't have to have played with you, but both of those are good. I just have to know what kind of a game you like. I have to have interacted with you. I have to have seen your play in an actual play, maybe. Who knows? I just have to have some degree of validation that the kind of game you like is the kind of game I run. I would run a game for you guys. We have not met in person. We have not played together, but we've interacted enough that I feel like I know you well enough that I could run a game that we would enjoy.
You know, that's the second time he said that.
What?
He said that either last episode in a message, and now this one. He said it fairly recently in a message. So I think he's trying to tell us something. Maybe we should make that happen.
I think it should. But dude, man, online. I'm not a fan, but dude, I appreciate that, Taylor. I agree. Like I said, I mean, I joke sometimes. Oh, come to CabinCon, everybody. But most people that I've interacted with on here significantly, and especially on the videos on YouTube and stuff, I would have very little issue with any of them showing up at my door and say, "Hey, Randy, can I play?"
Right.
I'd be like, "Sit your sweet butt down, dude. Get your dice out. Let's do it."
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I don't think that Taylor uses a VTT so much. I think he just uses Zoom or something like that.
That means nothing to me. I mean, honestly, that's how we played during the early COVIDs when we tried to play, and it was just hard. I couldn't fully, you know. And look, people love it, and I think people probably have really good sessions online. It's just not my bag, baby. You know, I just can't do it. And now I would try it if it was a short campaign, but if we could, God, I wish, if any of these guys live close, they'd be welcome. I think he's right about you can interact enough and go, yeah, this dude will be okay. Now, to be fair, there is a chance that you can get along. There's guys I get along with well that I didn't like playing D&D with.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I've met people that I think are great dudes, and either one, they weren't interested in D&D, or two, when I got them at the table, it's kind of like, you roll pretty different than I do. Not enough to I'm not like feeling, and I wasn't shocked like, oh my God, they're doing this some kind of crazy thing, but it's like, I'm just not really enjoying it. But I don't think that with Taylor. I would have a lot of confidence Taylor would get along great. We'd get along great with him. We'd have a good time.
Yeah, I'm sure we would. I mean, Florida, that's what? Just around the corner.
Dude, we could practically walk this house.
Yeah.
About playing online, I have played online exclusively since my boys were born. Having babies and toddlers in the house, I have a hard time going somewhere for 5 hours versus I just can't bring people into the house. The boys would get in the way. But so online out of necessity. But I've met a bunch of cool people. I've played a lot of good games, and I'm content with it. Will you meet weirdos online? Oh yeah, it's possible. Problem players will exist in every medium, and because online you're exposed to the global player base as opposed to your local one, you could be looking for a group at the board at Gen Con, and you're not going to find as many people as you will on the internet. So, with that in mind, yeah, there are weirdos, but the key is cultivating a community ahead of time for when you're running. Delve on, gentlemen. Delve on.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I tell you
Taylor.
what, I think he's right. I think there's problems face to face and everything, not just online. And I appreciate that, Taylor. I really appreciate you coming back with the online perspective. It makes sense. Young kids at home, lots of stuff going on. He can't really get away. So I'm really glad online is there for folks that need it. Joe and I, God willing, are past the baby phase. No children's at home. So we can do some different things that others can't, right? So we got a buddy who's here tonight, Mr. Tim. He's got a couple of boys, but they're getting to that age where they want to be a part of it.
But he just had a little one not long ago, right?
Yeah, Tim's got a little girl that's a little bit needing some help, but by that I mean she's young. So, but Tim manages to get his game on. He didn't. He's not shied away from Cabin Con. His wife stepped up and covered for him, so that's cool.
Yeah, the way I look at it is this: I don't prefer playing online, but I would be happy to play in a Taylor Run game online.
Yeah, I would.
Especially if we did a live stream. We did it live stream. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. Taylor, you hearing that? Live stream D&D.
Especially we can get a couple more, make it interesting.
Yeah.
And there are members of our community who are very much stronger in their opposition to online than Randy. Randy just doesn't like it.
No.
There are folks that will tell you you're doing it wrong, that will tell you that if you don't have a home group, you're just not trying hard enough or whatever. They really poo-poo it to an extreme. And I'm not like that. I just don't. It's just not my preferred mode.
Green Apple says, I'd like to see you guys play. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, dude. Just letting you know.
Might have to have the disclaimer up here,
Oh, look at that, dude. Tim Scott's wife, Kelly's ready to get back into it. Now that chick, I like that woman. She's got a heart of a gamer. I tell you what, I played like 3 times, 4 times, I guess a few times with Miss Kelly, and she got the skills though. So anyway, Max, he hates online play. Fair enough, but if you like it, you're weird. Have at it. That's cool.
We're a whole community, quote unquote, full of weirdos. We're all weird.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares?
Yep. I think all you biggest geekiest people are weird. Join the club, baby.
Yeah, anybody who will want to sit for a couple hours and look at us running our mouth. We're not even doing anything. We're just running our mouths, and they're like, oh, I got to go see them.
Yeah, because they want to run their mouths with us because we're true gamers. Shadow's in the house. What's up, dude?
Hey, Shadow.
Oh, I forgot to say, I was, what was I on? The chilling stream with Max. Friday Night Chill.
Oh, you did Friday?
I did do that for a little while. Those dudes, Max said 4 hours. I think he lied because I stayed in for almost 3. I mean, I jumped in at 10, got off at 1, 1-ish. They still went on, so he didn't make his 4-hour window. Those guys they got the late night skills. Though Shadow cheats because he's in California stand.
Yeah. That's not right.
He got the time bonus.
Yeah, I can't do that late. And plus, I've been ill, yo.
Yeah,
6 hours.
Listen, Joe whine. Suck it up. It's about gaming, dude.
Okay, so shut up.
Oh yeah, baby. Tim Scott, entertain us, monkeys. Are you not entertained? Of course not.
All right. So I guess the next item on the agenda is that Stranger Things season 4.
Yeah, so I know it's not everybody's bag. I really like how the main villain. Do you watch? You don't have Netflix anymore. Did you watch it at all?
I started to. But the thing is, I did a bad thing. I watched one of the award shows with the cast on it, and they talked.
Don't do that.
Off script. And I was done. They're a bunch of simpletons that I'd rather not even hear talk again ever.
To be fair, they're actors.
Yeah.
No offense to you actors, but
no, they just repeat. They were just repeating the accepted mantra, and not saying anything particularly worth hearing. And this was years ago. This was right after their first season during the Trump so of course they had to signal their hatred of
Trump.
I
hate him too.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a fan of Trump, and I didn't vote for the guy, but shut up. and act.
Yeah. Well, like Tim Scott said.
Yeah.
Entertain us, monkeys.
Yeah.
That's what I
So,
pay you for.
and I've also said in other venues that I don't care if a brand states a political point of view. It's just, it makes it more easier for me to separate out the things I'm not going to support. And that was one thing I just said, no, I'm done.
Fair enough. So I did watch it. I'm in the midst of season 4, and I think season 2 was kind of junky. But what I liked is their villain. They used D&D, classic D&D villains. So season 1, I believe, was the Demogorgon, and
Demogorgon.
season 2, the Demogorgon, which is their own. It's not the Demogorgon,
It's their own thing.
Who's the guy? Bloodworth. DM Bloodworth did a really cool breakdown of Stranger Things season 4 and a discussion of the past. And then the 3rd season, the villain was called the Mind Flayer, and this season is called Vecna. And they kind of play off of it. It's not like and the villains aren't really like that at all, but they kind of, the characters are D&D players, a chunk of them, 3-4 of the guys are. And so that's how they reference them. Oh my God, it's like Vecna or whatever. And they have a little theme of just a little subtext of the Satanic Panic on this season. It's brought up. In fact, the very first episode, in about the first 10 minutes, the new GM, who's an older guy at the high school, reads an article about the Satanic Panic in like Time magazine or something. So I like those little nods, and the story's okay. It's stretching beyond imagination now, but I mean, believability in the realm of peopleness. But at least it doesn't come off as too woke during the show, so I can live with that. I mean, if I didn't watch any shows because the actors were woke or had stupid ideas, I would not watch any shows at all. You would be hard pressed to watch anything.
Mm-hmm.
Even the new. Oh, and I saw the new Maverick Top Gun. Joe.
Oh, I keep hearing it's good.
Dude, it's seriously good. It's zero woke. He said, Cal said, Bloodworth did Strange Things review today. Okay, yeah, I saw one before. And Martinson said season 5 will be the last. I'm sorry, I'm overlapping Joe here, but said season 5.
No, I didn't touch it.
Okay, but I've really enjoyed most of the Stranger Things. I kind of want to see the end of it. As long as they don't bring their politics into the actual show, or I don't notice it, it's fine. Because I just don't think I can. But anyway, I thought it was interesting because season 4 connects what we're going to talk about tonight.
Right. It does. So we'll talk about it a little bit later too, maybe. Sure. Bring it back up. But yeah. So that's about all we have before we get into our main topic. And before we get into that.
Yes. Oh, man.
All right, folks. If for some reason you crackers out there haven't subscribed yet, you really need to subscribe.
Or you non-crackers, that's fine too.
Thumbs up the video. Comment. Sometimes commenting after the fact is good too.
Yep.
We don't get a whole lot of comments, but I'm not sure how great YouTube's algorithm is working these days anyway. I keep hearing conflicting reports. But we appreciate your support. Let folks know about us. I'm not sure how well the discovery features of the algorithm are working, but thanks for being here, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
So, main topic is the satanic. We're going to be talking about moral panics and how they affected our game, D&D. They spilled over to other games, I'm sure, the hobby in general, but the moral panic of the 80s, Satanic Panic, affected the game. I thought it was just about, when people say Satanic Panic, I thought it was just about the Satanic Panic, how it affected our game. But
no, it's
but
more than that.
In retrospect, after looking at the articles, I do remember all this other stuff that was going on at the time, where everything had to do with satanic rituals, all over the entertainment sphere.
And the police were on high alert. One of our articles talks about the police being on high alert, looking for these, the satanic rituals. I wish I had thought of it. There's a movie on Netflix about rock and roll and its connection to Satanism, and it's a weird kind of funny dark comedy. Gosh, I need to find it. Actually, Joe, I think you would like it. It's pretty cool because it's got a lot of funniness to it. But yeah, there was that. There was rock and roll was like it was getting blasted. I mean, Judas Priest was took to trial.
It was called The Devil's Music.
Yeah.
And honestly, when you look, if you look at a lot of the lyrics and a lot of the music, even today, it's a lot of degeneracy.
Dude, I'll tell you this. I'm going to say some things up front. I think we're all going to be in agreement that the Satanic Panic with role-playing games, for the most part, I think some of us will say completely. I can only say that for the most part, D&D and other RPGs, it's silly to think that you will kill yourself, you will lose yourself, and it'll show aspects of rape and mutilation and homosexuality. It'll make you kill yourself, become a Satan worshiper. That's 90% beat, 99% beat BS. But I am going to bring up something today that's probably not going to be popular, and Joe hints to it. I think there are elements to all of that are valid. And what I mean is, when you look at Dungeons and Dragons, when you read it, and I noticed this in the 60 Minutes article with Ed Bradley that you linked into, they kept saying these bad things are, you can play an evil character, like these two kids were interviewing. When you play an evil character, the game says you can rape and pillage. I don't recall that really being said in the player's handbook about playing an evil character and raping and pillaging. And by I don't recall, I mean it's not there.
Right. It doesn't say that specifically. The game says you can blah, blah, blah. No,
it doesn't. You're assuming that because evil does that. And in my opinion, you're playing the game wrong. That's my opinion. I have no interest in playing evil or DMing evil characters. And by no interest, I mean none. I don't want them at my table. But that's because I don't think the game works well that way. I really don't think it. And people will make defenses for evil characters. Probably going to get a big list of people that say that they will. I know Max has lawful evil as a favorite. I have no interest in that.
No.
We're playing heroes, and that is the core of the game. You could say it's mercenary as well, especially the early years. It was about getting gold and getting getting loot. And I agree with Max's statement here. It says D&D video games, rock and roll don't cause anything. They don't cause any kind of problems. Correct. People with mental deficiencies can be influenced by anything. Hobbies and entertainment are just a trigger to a weak mind or to a hurt mind. Max clarified. He said lawful neutral. Okay, cool. Good deal. Because I know Max and I are pretty close kosher with the whole evil thing. But I do think people who have these problems or interests, not just problems, can go down a road, get into D&D, and I've seen people do this when we played. Then they get into the occult. And I'm sorry, you guys know we're Christians here, and I'm just going to say it. There is a satanic element that you can bring into the game. Rock and roll had a satanic element, which I thought rock and roll was playing at Satanism.
It was a caricature.
Yeah, and they were doing it on purpose.
It's stylized and all that.
Yes, with the blood and Ozzy with the bat. It was all a show.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of Little Nas X?
I don't know who that is.
Okay, there's this little rapper dude who gave Satan a lap dance in one of his videos. A man gave Satan a lap dance. Dude's got serious problems at a minimum if he's not outright satanic. Or that one dude, Trent something or other, who had that big problem at his show, had the gates of hell at his concert, and they say his lyrics are laced with stuff. Look, I'm not saying they necessarily believe that. I'm saying, and guys, you don't believe it if you don't want to. It's Randy's beliefs. If you want to open yourself up to this, if you want to play with fire, I believe spiritually you can get burned. I do believe it. Now, it won't be like you're going to be, when I say this, Randy's not saying you'll be possessed. I'm saying those are things that Satan wants you to do. Indulge, do what thou wilt. That's true Satanism. That's true worship of self. That's what I'm saying. And I think you can ride this pony of D&D or music or whatever, and you can head down that path. But I agree with what Max said. It doesn't make you do it.
No. And there in much of the material of the 80s.
Mark, and what does this mean? But two old white guys are talking about a younger rapper. It's publicity? Huh? Oh, you're saying that what he did was publicity?
It's an act. Well, I think he's saying what we were saying about in the past, where we think that the rockers wore it as a show.
Yeah.
And
I do this, don't I?
Yeah.
Is that devil horns or is it the hook 'em horns from University of Texas? I don't know which one is which. But
Yeah.
I love that sign. I mean, I think it's funny, and I've absconded with it. And I think, look, you do what you want. But I get back in the 80s when Christianity was losing its quote unquote deep appeal in the U.S. and rebellion was getting away from it, and we're fully away from it now as a country. People were losing their mind because everywhere they looked, they were looking for reasons to fight the devil, and you can do what you want, but I think I see how those people, my parents in particular, not that I had parents that caused a lot of trouble, but people that age could look at it and go, holy crap, that's danger.
Yeah, and I'll say that even just wearing it as a suit is dancing closer than I would.
Absolutely. I won't go down that path. Yeah, I think it's true, Mr. Max Bobbin. Alice Cooper claims to be a believer. Absolutely, he does.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. So
Draco Paul says Christians quote mine, the wicked read, and it and harm none, do what thou wilt, shall be the whole of the law. They omit. I agree, Draco Paul, that they probably do, but even do what thou wilt, I think is a problem. Because what a lot of people will do that is not going to harm someone else is still going to be evil. Because I think people, when we go down the road here, it gets dangerous.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying we have different opinions. But I think you're right. I agree with you, Draco Paul. You're right. They do that.
Sure. So a lot of the stuff in the 80s materials that we have links to, it really belies a lot of misperceptions or outright lies that people were telling about D&D. Even this doctor, there's an interview in the 60 Minutes piece there where the doctor says that someone was killed themselves by simulating casting a astral spell. And as far as I know, the astral spell in the game book, even back in first edition, did not require you to kill yourself.
I know. Ooh,
right.
Not to
so he was saying
edition, once a day.
As part of the spell, he shot himself. That's not part of the spell.
That's not true.
So all these things that they would say, just like the chick track from the Dark Dungeons chick track, it would say things like, in order to make, was it 9th level, you had to kill your parents? Something like that?
Yeah, some kind of crap like that.
Kind of crazy stuff. You have to kill your parents.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely not true. And we all know this. And all these people make all these claims that are not substantiated to any degree to explain their belief that D&D is a problem. And I remember back in the day when we saw, what was the movie again? Tom Hanks movie. What was that one again? I forgot.
Mazes and Monsters.
Mazes and Monsters. Right. So saw Mazes and Monsters, and I was like, that's not what we do.
No, I don't know what your Fruit Loops are doing, but that's not my game.
Right. I understood that, and I was a teenager at the time. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, sure you were.
That it wasn't the game, because the game doesn't instruct you on what to do outside of the game. It doesn't tell you to go home and do X, Y, and Z and all this other stuff. It just says what you do with regard to the game. I knew that, and I knew that these folks had mental problems.
Even those two kids that they interviewed on 60 Minutes, the first couple, where they said, if you want to play evil, it tells you you can rape and pillage, be good, you defend. They said, but it doesn't tell you to do stuff outside of the game. Yeah, But of course, their claim was, well, it's mentally affecting you. And, whatever. I mean, I do think if you bombard your mind with images and thoughts and read stuff that is dark and disturbing, I don't think you're doing yourself favors if you live in that kind of framework all the time. But it's not like you can't mention and have some really vile stuff. Like, maybe the folks in the chat could help me here. Venger's recent PDF adventure where the villains are killing babies, and it's very graphic, and he makes clear statements he's against abortion. And I'm like, dude, that's what makes heroes even better.
Right.
When you show how wicked the villains are, and we're going to come in and smash these dudes right in the ground.
Right.
So, yeah, that's cool. So I think it's okay to see that to talk about that kind of imagery. I just don't mean getting, my thought is I could see, and you realize I'm 95, 98, 98.5% with everybody. Yeah, it was dog poo. People were crazy. But I have some sympathy.
I never heard of these.
Oh, Dracopole.
Dracopole says in 91 on TV, Honor Thy Mother and Cruel Doubt were TV movies misrepresenting the pages of D&D on camera. They figured Americans can't read and check up on that. Yeah, see, and that's the thing. Okay, so we didn't have VCRs recording. I mean, some people may have, but
right.
And most people I knew didn't.
I didn't have one.
And there wasn't any such thing as DVR, and you couldn't rewind all that stuff.
No.
It got played on TV. You might see it in a rerun. Apart from that, you didn't get to see it again. And so, not only did it take advantage of people not checking up on it, it's short memories, and you don't remember things clearly. But in watching the clip, I'm like, these guys they haven't even looked at these books.
No.
Assumptions.
Clear. And Darren P follows up with a similar statement. I want to say something about it. The media always think that people can't read or be bothered to verify. Here's the truth, Darren P. There is a segment of society, I think I did that, a segment of society that doesn't do that. They literally don't check up on it. And plus, they hear what, their itching ears get scratched. They hear what they want to hear, and they go, oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, Darth Theik, he's right here. And I'll say maybe not just Americans. Most people don't bother. They just believe what they are told and follow their leader.
Sure. And they don't. They and to be honest, I don't blame many of them because they have work, they have kids, they are tired. I'm tired when I get home. And, I understand why people just don't give themselves time, and they just say, yeah, okay, I'll believe what you say. I'll believe what you say, Dan, rather, because you're so respectable.
Yeah, Walter Cronkite, like he was some great holy person. Now, the journalists should be reporting the news. They don't. They create it. And here, they were creating this spin. Even Ed Bradley, who I used to like, I felt like he was like just taking advantage of, ooh, look, D&D is bad. And couldn't you say? And while I did think Gygax looked fabulous on the screen, I think he made a simple point.
Yeah,
not using science. That's not science to say this.
No. And, I have said that his appearance on TV was weird. It wasn't this one.
No, it was a different one.
There was a different clip I remember of him. It was just him by himself in a library or something, and he was real aggressive at the camera. And but after all this, I guess I can understand why he would be that reactionary, because it's ridiculously stupid.
This must have been early because he was like, "You're not using science. Correlation is not causation." I mean, you can say, "Look, Randy killed a person. Did you know that he read the Bible twice this past year, all the way through? He's a Bible nut. They kill people."
No, how about listen? We can even get more ridiculous. When Randy grew up as a kid, he drank Big Red soda all the time.
Yes, he did.
Moved to Michigan, they don't have Big Red soda. Made him angry and started to kill people.
Kill people. Look at this.
Because Big Red soda.
And we found a case of empty bottles of Big Red that he had taken from Indiana, where he's originally from.
Right.
That must have set him
That's
off.
the kind of logic. That's the kind of lack of logic they're using. They did things, and like Gary Gygax and others were making the point. 3 million folks played the game. 28 people over the course of 5 years were involved in either murders or suicides. I mean, if it's the game, there would be more.
Oh, that's it. That's
and
it. Martinson's out.
The devil's juice. All right, yeah. Longer invited to the table.
Big Red's the greatest drink in the universe, and you know it. And don't say anything about Faygo, Martin, son. I want to hear the Faygo red poop.
Faygo.
Get out.
Faygo.
Michigan Faygo people.
Right.
Oh, Darren P doesn't understand. Oh, is Darren in Kanadistan? Is that where Darren is?
Probably.
Oh, it is, but in the state of Indiana and all the good states in this country, Big Red is a great red drink. It's got a hint of bubble gum, and it tastes like awesome.
It's kind of like red cream soda.
There's 2 major distilleries, San Antonio, Texas, and Bowling Green, Kentucky. I'll put that in quotations. Rock and Rye is good, and it does not kick Big Red's butt. Sorry, Martin. I'm not even going to put that up there. It's such a lie. That's
Rock and Rye. Who makes that?
That's Rock and Rye is a very good Faygo. It's the best Faygo that exists. Right. Now when I say it's the best Faygo, it's kind of like saying this is the least smelly poop.
Right.
What? Green apple? Used to? I don't drink it anymore because I want to keep my really svelte figure that I have. Yeah. Oh, Darth. Tastes like awesome. I know he's talking about Faygo. Any Faygo. And that's true. So, hold on. I'm gonna help him out here.
Faygo.
Pop, soda, whatever your favorite word is. You're from
it's
the
a Michigan.
South.
It's a Michigan thing.
Coke, type of Coke.
It's a Michigan thing, right?
Yeah, it's a Michigan drink, but it's around the country too. There you go. Oh, guys, yeah. But I'm sure everybody's favorite drink here is Mountain Spew. So, Max says something's gross. I hope it's not Big Red. He's in Alabama, so he probably has access to it. He better love it. If he doesn't, I almost lost 2 friends over Big Red.
Oh, really?
No, I was in San Antonio on a conference, and 2 of my buddies we went to like a little diner place, and they had Big Red on tap, which that's perfection.
Quality.
Perfection. And I get it. And I go, the nectar of the gods. And they try it. They go, it's not as good as Red Pop. I said, you 2 are not my friend, and I'm leaving. Okay. Max was talking about the awesome butthole. So
it's good to see folks can react that way. Yeah. I know we were talking about what you let yourself see, and our movie industry is full of gore.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't bother me that much. It's something I tried to explain to my wife. I just don't care to see a lot of it because it's I don't know. I don't care to see it. So you desensitize yourself to some degree, I think. Yes, it's just a movie. It's not going to make you a bad person, really. No. I just don't care to watch it.
Well, and I think you can inundate yourself with it. And I see, and I caught myself doing this back in the late 80s. Maybe Martinson can help me. Whenever Jason Goes to Manhattan, the Friday the 13th got to number 8. And I walked out of that movie in the theaters. And I was a big Friday the 13th fan. Joe knows that. I love those. And what I thought, and yeah, I agree with Green Apple. I do like it less and less. I love Lord of the Rings violence better. And though they have a little gore, not very much.
You can do it in kind of a zany way that takes away from the awfulness of it, I think. Speaking of Lord of the Rings gore, Steve Jackson did a zombie movie. Mm-hmm. And it was over the top.
Steve Jackson?
Yeah. He did a horror movie a long time ago.
Hold on. Steve Jackson. Isn't that...
Okay, I'm talking about the wrong person.
Yeah. Jackson is Peter.
Peter Jackson.
Yes, Jackson. It was good. It was good.
It's zany as all hell.
Yeah.
A dude was killing zombies with a lawnmower. One of the zombies ended up becoming a gigantic, like feminine-looking zombie, and its stomach opened and grabbed the dude. He was inside of a zombified womb of some kind. It was gross, but it was way over the top, zany comedy horror. So I think that's one way you can do it where it's not as bad.
But my point with that is, so you can desensitize. And I found myself back then. I was looking for the cool kill, and then like he killed 27 people in Jason Goes to Manhattan in about 6 seconds, and I said, "That's dumb. I'm out." Oh, yeah. What did Markham say? A lot of movies that I wish I'd walked out on. It's not good to have some things in front of your eyes. I agree, and I walked out on. This will shock folks. I walked out on Baron Munchausen. And I know that's supposed to be really good, but I guess it wasn't what I was expecting. Oh, Green Apple. Hold on. Yeah, he's right here. Evil Dead movies. Yep. Cabin in the Woods. That's a pretty gross one. That's funny.
Right.
But,
right.
Horror comedies. But anyway, how's that connect to D&D? So I think a lot of people thought. Whereas my point is, I think you can watch a lot of horror movies and love guts and stuff and get into it, but not be a person and still be a person that if you saw somebody hurt in real life, you'd be like, "Oh my God, we got to help them." You wouldn't be that desensitized.
Right.
I think there's a weirdo percentage of people that horror movies are just the fact that they are already desensitized to violence because they just don't care about people. That's a different issue.
Right.
I think D&D set off in people's minds, oh my God, this game that has spells. And there's an article, it's part 1 and part 2 from thenerdist.com that I thought I didn't realize Frank Mincer was a big defender for D&D. And he went on the defense for them during that whole thing. And he made some good comments. He goes, apparently in an interview, this guy asked Frank Mincer, "How do you cast spells?" He goes, "Do you want me to show you?" He goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "I say I cast fireball." That's it. And the guy looked dumbfounded. He goes, "That's how we cast spells. We don't do any crazy hand waving. I don't say weird words. I say I cast fireball on the orcs."
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's one reason why when I play, I often refer to my characters in third person because I keep that distance.
Yes, and
I don't think it's necessary. It's not. It's not. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I go back and forth.
Right.
I think sometimes it's conscious. I consciously make myself say he, or my character does. And I know some people are like, "Oh, you got to be in first person." Blah blah blah.
Tim Scott, we know what he does. I'm sorry, Joe. I'll interrupt you. Go ahead, bud.
I'm sorry. Yes, you did. You should be ashamed.
I am.
Get out of here.
Hold on.
So yes. I don't think I'm going to have a problem if I don't do that. It's just something I do.
Sure.
And that's something that these folks brought up all the time, that role playing in the wrong hands, quote unquote. More of a paraphrase. Right. Role playing in the wrong hands can change your behavior and make you believe that you are somebody else, which is stupid because actors don't do well. Not true. Sometimes actors do, but that's because they have mental problems. It's not a problem with being an actor. It's a problem with having mental problems.
I think it's a problem with having a mental issue and being worshipped. You believe you're something more than what you are. Tim Scott makes a good point. We know what Tim does. Hope Tim doesn't mind. He works in the medical field. He says, as I do see people hurt in real life all the time. But Tim, I would guess that's fair. And I think you want that for people in emergency rooms and such.
A level of it.
A little bit of it. I think that's good. So you don't freak out when somebody's knee is distended or when a leg is nearly chopped off.
You need to be able to work.
You can do your job and you can work. So that's a good thing. But should that be one of your boys or your wife, I'm willing to bet you wouldn't have the same reaction. Now you'd be much cooler than me in the same situation. Because
the problem comes in when you look at people as pieces of meat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and some people in the medical field get to the point where you say, "Yeah, it's just a piece of meat."
There's a good one from Legion. I use method role playing. To properly play a dwarf. It's called professionalism. Truth. Tell us how it is. That's how you role play. Max has got it. So if you don't engage fully in your character, or as Max Boivin said, there you go. Johnny Depp became Jack Sparrow. Weird. And so, yeah, that's true, dude.
Yeah, some method people do that.
Yeah.
And the ones that have issues end up offing themselves, or end up in rehab all the time. Depp and others.
Well, Boivin says then he couldn't play. Right. I mean, I think Depp is a good actor, but he kind of plays crazy Johnny Depp all the time. I mean, I don't think it's the same character. He puts variations on it, but he has to play. Doesn't he almost always play a bizarro character?
I would say it depends on what period in his career. At this point, maybe. But
I do like Depp.
Back in the day, not so much.
Depp's one of the guys I like. I think he's a good actor. I enjoy it. But anyway, off the beaten path. So back to Satanic Panic. And so several of the links talked about the connection, as we said before, to toys and different hobbies and music and the police action.
Yeah, it was all over the place.
And it was huge. It was a mess for D&D. Patricia Pulling was on the 60 Minutes thing. She's the one who...
She was a liar. She wasn't just misguided. She was a liar.
So you think she was purposefully trying to be deceptive?
Okay. Here's how she's a liar. She misrepresented Dungeons and Dragons, the game at the time, to such a large degree that either she read it and said, well, I'm going to say other things.
Right.
Or she didn't read it.
Right.
But presented herself as an expert as if she had.
Correct.
So either way, it's a lie.
Okay. But you don't... Right. Agreed. It's a lie. But it wasn't like... Well, maybe it was. Because, they talk about... If you read into some of the articles, they talk about the Irving Pulling case. That's her son, Irving Pulling. He had some issues.
Yeah, and they said in that interview.
Yes. And there were several...
He was a perfect kid.
I know.
But then 5 minutes later in the same interview, the daughter said he threatened to kill her.
If he told me he was playing D&D. And I read in another article, and this is not so true, that one time she had mentioned that he was showing lycanthrope tendencies because he was in the backyard barking for minutes.
Right.
And apparently lots of cats and dogs came up dead in the neighborhood. And we know what that means. You got serious issues then.
You got serial killer tendencies.
Yeah, you do. You're going down the road.
What I'm saying with that, though, is in the same interview, she said he's the perfect boy. And then 5 minutes later, the daughter was crying because he threatened to kill her.
Yep.
So which is it?
There'd be.
Oh, right.
Yeah, man. It's been a while since I killed my neighbor and took their women. I guess I just ain't got time for the women anymore. I'm not a young man anymore.
Not a young man anymore. I have to pick one.
Yeah, just pick one, live with it.
Yeah.
So and then all of a sudden comes now. I did think it was interesting. So there was Mincer defending, the creators defending the game, and then somewhere I forgot at what time, but I think Stackpole came along. Michael Stackpole.
I didn't get a chance to read that article. Apparently, I need to read Stackpole. I haven't read
You should. It's interesting. He defends D&D, and it's called the Pulling Report, and he goes down through great details. I'm not sure what Max is saying.
Oh, he's joking. He's joking.
Yeah, sure. Lots of dead cows. Sure. But I mean, that's just the thing.
You brought it up. We need to read it because we got people listening.
Oh, thank you. Read. Yes.
Legion of Myth says lots of dead cats and dogs, serial killer. Lots of dead cows, aliens.
Right. Max Boivin, the barking is worrying. If you had to choose between your son becoming a serial killer or a furry, tough call.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Oh, Max has hurt my feelings. I used to like Stackpole, but he's all woke now. Oh, well. He still was right in his defense of D&D.
Right.
It's thorough and it's good. So he came out as a writer of... What did he write? What's Stackpole's big books? Thought he had a couple. I know he did something with Star Wars. That wasn't his really big one. Yeah, he did some Star Wars books. Rogue Squadron. So it was. Looks like he's got a handful of others that were pretty big for him. And he came out and defended the game. BattleTech, yeah. Okay, sounds good.
So I'm going to say something right quick.
Okay.
His BattleTech, according to Legion of Myth and Tim Scott, Stackpole's BattleTech books were good. I have a bad taste in my mouth for IP novels because they end up IP that's not originally novels becoming novels, like D&D books and whatnot. Many of them are horribly bad, so I just avoid them.
Yeah, and to be fair, as we said before, Joe is completely a hypercritical.
I'm not judgmental at all. I'm one of the middle.
It comes through. Patrick leads us into another one that we're kind of leaving off. He said nobody did as much damage as hack detective William Deere. Yeah, he was a detective in the famous or infamous steam tunnels, where James Dallas Egbert in 1979, a highly troubled youth, went into the steam tunnels of Michigan State University. They based the Mazes and Monsters off of it. Detective Deere had plans right at the beginning to blame it on D&D. So he had some bias going right down the line. So
yeah, it says in that article though that, or if not that one, another one, that he downplayed D&D's role later on.
Yes,
initially it was like D&D is bad, and then later on it's like, oh, maybe not so much.
But so it finally, finally calmed down. Though second edition D&D did the whole, everybody knows the second.
They bent the knee.
They bent the knee. They gave in, turned demons and devils into Tanari and Beatazu, which, to be fair, I liked it. I've never thought, if you're going to have a race of creatures like demons and devils and demodans, all those, and he called them all fiends instead of demons and devils. If you're going to have a race of creatures like that, I'm not sure they would refer to each other as demons and devils. They might. That sounds like a prime material word for a creature. I think if you're going to call them a race that lives somewhere else, they might have their actual name. Like Martians probably don't call themselves Martians. If there's Martians from the planet Mars, they may have their own name. They may call themselves Martians. I don't know. My point is
that's if demons and devils are creatures like prime material creatures.
True. If they are.
If they are demonic beings that originate from the evil souls of men,
then
they might different.
Revel. They might revel in they identify as the beliefs that they espouse. So yes, it depends on your interpretation. But I didn't mind so much. It was cowardly. Even then, I thought it was cowardly. I was like, why do you care? But once I read about the Blood War and Planescape, which everybody knows I love, it was fine. I dug it. I thought it was cool. I didn't mind if demons referred to themselves as Tanari. Now, my people in my prime material worlds, for the most part, they called them demons. Even if you were a devil, even if you were a demodan, you were a demon. They didn't know any difference. Learned scholars might know them. High-level adventurers might know the names. But the point was they did bend the knee. And that leads us pretty nicely to the next topic. Before we go there, I want to talk a little bit about our experiences with the Satanic Panic. What experiences do you recall?
I remember it existing.
Okay.
But my mom didn't pay much attention to it.
Did she even mention it ever to you?
No.
So
no.
I have several. Now, a couple of our friends, Philip, I know, my buddy Philip, had a severe experience. I believe his books were actually burned by his mother. My mother had some concerns, and I had an uncle and aunt who were highly religious and going to church that I used to go to, and they were very concerned about it. At least the aunt was more than the uncle. I think he just didn't care. My mom watched us play for about 5 minutes, and she actually defended us against them. She told my uncle, she goes, look, they're in the basement pretending to be dragons. That's what she said. So I think it's okay. And they're not out drinking. They're not doing drugs. The only thing that's in danger is a bag of Cheetos. So I'm good with it. I know where Randy is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Pretty much every stinking weekend.
And yeah, so I think it was much ado about nothing. But people made a big deal of it. Mm-hmm. A lot of people had their books burned. I didn't have that many. I only had I had a very small collection of role-playing game books back then. And my mom, she didn't buy into it.
No, Patrick had a similar experience. I remember my mom had a few worries. Then she met my friends and realized how ridiculous the whole thing was. Yeah, my mom was like, "You guys are goofballs. Who cares?" Um, oh, Indigo said Soda was in trouble too. Absolutely. Oh, that's interesting. Now I think Patrick and Max may have a little conversation here because Patrick's Legion said I went to Lutheran school. I wasn't allowed to play D&D. I got extra Bible verses because I talked about it once. You and Patrick should discuss.
Yeah, Patrick's Lutheran.
Yeah, he's Lutheran. They went to a Lutheran school as well. Oh, hopefully I'm not. Is that outing Patrick? Am I doxing him? That's my new saying. Am I doxing him? So I had a cousin, my cousin Jason, who was one of my hardcore players. He was a young guy when we played for many years. Still does play periodically. He had two events that I think were pretty awesome. He had two ideas. I had a cousin who could realize Jason's my cousin, and my family is massive, folks. Joe can verify. I have 12 aunts and uncles. One of my uncles has 12 children. I have well over 250 cousins and first and second cousins that we get together regularly and we do stuff. In fact, in June, family reunion, I'm fairly close with most of them, and a bunch of them show up. But anyway, Jason, my first cousin, he was 16, 17. We were playing D&D, and we spent the night at someone's, I think my grandmother's house. We woke up in the morning, and we left. We called it the D&D box. Remember the box, Joe?
Yep. The milk crate.
The D&D box is the crate. Because so Joe and I, being the oldest, and we had youngers in the group, every time someone new came in, their job was to
carry the box.
Because we would go down the street or go wherever to play friends. And it's a heavy box. I had all my first edition books, all the other stuff. And anyway, just basically all the D&D stuff that we owned. A few folks had players' handbooks and other things. Joe did. And so anyway, we woke up and my aunt had dropped a chick track in the box. And it was, of course, the infamous Dark Dungeons.
Dark Dungeons.
Joe has put the link into Dark Dungeons. You need to read that if you never have. Chick tracks. I would check out chick tracks in general. I won't say Chick is 100% wrong on everything, but I will say that on this one, he was lost. He was upside down, totally confused, no idea. Oh, wow. Look at this. Mark Markham. My parents didn't care. Some of my friends' parents actually consecrated his books the way a priest may do a haunted house in the Amityville Horror. Dude! Let's see here. Patrick, I spent 45 minutes talking to the dean about D&D. From then on, as long as it didn't interfere with our social lives or grades, they didn't care. Ooh, were you a more progressive Lutheran school? But
that's a what is it called? There's a Lutheran branch that's way progressive. They're not really Lutheran. It's just in name only.
Who's way progressive?
There's Whiskey, Missouri Synods,
yeah,
and then there's a third branch, and they're very progressive. And for some reason, they still hold on to the name Lutheran, even though
I think it's this one.
It's weird. The weirdos.
Elka, I think, is the one. Yeah, that's the synod. Joe, can I ask if you don't mind sharing? Do you consider yourself a Lutheran now or not?
I've been going to a Lutheran church for as long as I've been married to Jenny. So
right, she's Lutheran.
It's close. It's a close thing.
I think this is a questionable thing. Chick Tracks is so anti-Catholic, they think demons and devils swirl around the Pope. That keeps the hatred of 300 years ago alive. We'll go down that road, but I do agree that that's a little extreme. I will argue there is one track that I think leads to one thing. He almost seems to always double back to the Catholic Church, but I won't go into that discussion. But I will say this. He does have a scene in one of his tracks where it shows. I remember when I was young, I saw these tracks that our church would have them, and it had men dressing as women, and somebody say, hey, don't call me a man. I'm a woman. And this was way before we talked about identity politics. We're talking early 80s. He kind of had his finger on the pulse of what was about going to happen in that one scene. It was insane. I remember looking at it and going, that's never going to happen. There aren't going to be men calling themselves women. I was just like, yeah. So anyway, so he also, so my cousin Jason, I didn't finish my story. So we wake up in the dungeon, in the dark dungeons tracks in there. And so Jason suggests, now we didn't do this, that my aunt was coming over for Sunday dinner. Now, where I'm from and where we did, Sunday dinner was at my grandma's house and everybody came. So we'd have 30, 40 people every Sunday. Joe could verify that. And we would have them, we'd have chicken or whatever. But and my one aunt was having kids, lots of babies. And he really wanted to be holding the youngest baby up when she walked in the door, came through the living room with all the books out and us kind of chanting something. I said, we will absolutely not do that because my uncle would choke us and throw us out of the house. So
he was able to. He would have got all of us.
He would have killed all of us. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would have zero chance. But later on, we started doing Gen Con. I'm going to use my cousin Jason again as an example. This was beautiful. I may have mentioned this. This is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. In Wisconsin, we would always go to, oh gosh, what was the pizza joint that we loved? Oh, there in Milwaukee, in the mall, they had a pizza joint. You guys would know it. It's super good. Not Lou Malnati's, not Chicago Pizza. It was a Chicago branch. Anyway, I can't remember it. It was great. Giordano's Pizza. Oh, thick, awesome pizza. That's how we knew the con had started. The first night we'd all go eat there. And there was a preacher, a street preacher on the street. And he was saying D&D's bad, it's the devil. I talked to him and he was a little loopy, but he wasn't a horribly bad person, but people were giving him crap. So the second year we went, same thing. Some of his minions were there preaching against D&D. Jason had come prepared. We go in there and then we go back and we head to the open gaming area in the evening around 9 o'clock. We're playing D&D. Halfway through the game, Jason goes, I got to do something. So they used to have an open gaming area and people were out playing their games. Jason puts on a priestly collar. He has a collared shirt. He gets out a bag and he goes around and I hear him yelling at people, you're all going to hell. And he starts throwing these tracts on everybody's tables and he's starting to piss people off. He's just going around saying, you're going to hell. You're playing D&D. You're going to hell. And it was dark dungeons and people are just about ready to get mad. And he starts turning around and going away and he goes, who do you think you are? And where are you going? And he goes, I got a D&D game to get to. And turns and he walks over the table and sits down and starts rolling dice. And so everyone, there were several tables just cracked up laughing. So that was a really cool kind of screw you to Satanic Panic. And that was early second edition when D&D was around. So there was still the last little bits of demons and devils was kind of a problem. But that's kind of the biggest stories that I've had with issues with the Satanic Panic, and Jason's was funny. So nothing else for you, Joe? You didn't have any?
I didn't have any personal experiences with the Satanic Panic.
Right.
No.
So now let's.
you hear about it.
Yeah.
And so much of the entertainment industry and was either taking advantage of the panic because there was lots of devil movies, lots of movies about, possessed people and whatnot. And there was that. We had the rock and rollers, kind of saying, if you're going to say we are, I guess we are, and we're going to step into it and be bold with it. And you hear snatches of 700 Club.
Oh boy, Pat Roberts.
And the 700 Club. I remember a conversation where they were talking about, well, we grabbed all of these Barbie dolls and G.I. Joe dolls and we threw them in the fire because we knew they were demonic, and we were confirmed when they started screaming.
Oh my gosh. That's also said in one of those videos that are on there about burning the books and screams, backwards masking on records too.
But the screaming plastic melting dolls, I mean, it didn't dawn on them that it was air escaping and all of that. And so when I heard that, I was never into the 700 Club.
No.
But I heard that. I'm like, why does anybody listen? These guys are stupid.
Well, a lot of times you and I we were young, we heard the news reports and things, and when we would listen to them, we'd be like, Joe and I would immediately go, that's not how it works. He's already talked. That's not how the game works.
Yeah, that's not
What are
how
you
it works.
talking about? That's crazy. But I think that's how we kind of fought back, right? We were like, so Jason, he dressed up with the collar. He made fun of it. We would, you would have people that the rock and rollers were like, yeah, we're into Satanism when they really weren't. And so I think maybe that was the best way was with laughter, with derision, right?
I would blame the devil-based horror on D&D. That was the big talk and fear at the time. Anything people did not understand was very, very much dark magic in the 80s. Yeah, so the Satanic Panic bled into D&D. It was one of the many industries affected by it. It wasn't generated out of D&D. It was just one of the things.
Yeah, it was one of the cool targets. Well, this is a great target. Look at this new game. 3 million people are playing this. It's super popular. Let's do it.
And some industries took advantage of that by making sensational movies, either blaming the woes of the world on devil-possessed people, or just having devil-themed horror movies in general. I think they played into each other to some degree.
And I have to admit, I have a fascination with devil-themed horror movies, demon-themed movies, exorcist-style movies, The Exorcist. I can't, I'm more of a horror fan than Joe. Joe finds a lot of them stupid, and I think he's not wrong, but I just kind of let that go. And something about it, fascinates me. I think because deep down as a Christian, I do believe there is a dark force at work in this world. Just there is a force for good. And so it does fascinate me. Yeah, Max, that's true. People see New Age religions and D&D is the same thing because many of the words are similar. Yeah, you say the word and that's what's happened. Now, Mr. Max Boivin is leaving us now another path. If we're ready to slip out of the Satanic Panic, he says, well, I guess with COVID BS, we've seen worse mass panic. That's a good lead into the other side of this. Not the other side, but another one. So,
well, here's the difference, I think. I don't think the Satanic Panic was driven by government misinformation.
Fair enough.
As the COVID BS is.
Right.
And back then you had concerned citizen do-gooder meddlers who ended up having they got backed with money from various Christian groups, parents groups and whatnot. So they were able to segue their attitudes onto TV, primarily TV. They got TV ads and after-school specials and whatnot. So.
Oh, I think Mar Hockman's got a good statement here. The part about wokeness that amuses me is that it's often puritanical logic. Bingo. And I think that's where Joe and I were headed.
Yeah, puritanical. Yeah.
Which is why the Satanic Panic happened. Yeah, but it's not that different because wokeism is a religion.
Mm-hmm. Sure is.
So what I tried to find is, and I never really did, do you know, when would we say, so now we're leading into the woke invasion, or a woke panic, which is the same sort of thing. They're both kind of a more moral panic. When did RPGs start down that slippery slope of virtue signaling, SJW, representation madness? I didn't spend as much time on it because I was doing a Satanic Panic. But do you know when that seemed to start to creep in? Or did signs
back in the day, even way back when I was still living in Indiana, there were articles. There was at least one article in Dragon Magazine about how pronoun usage change in the books because everything is he, and they should throw in some she's there. Throw the women a bone. And I'm really not certain that's. I'm wondering if that was kind of one of many. I didn't read all the articles that may have been like it, but definitely remember reading an article in Dragon Magazine about that. But as far as full blown, Yeah, Max may be right. It's I don't know, 20 years.
Well, Max and Darren P both said around 2000, and I agree. Max, it's subtly. I don't think he's taking a dig. He's just making a statement around third edition. There were some. I mean,
Oh, I don't know if getting it might be considered woke, but it's really, I would say, yeah. If they're calling that with third edition,
third edition's not woke, but it does have. I would agree that everybody can be everything. Every class, every race, male or female. I don't remember them trying to use too much with the if you identify as this in the books. Max claims vampire started it. I don't know, maybe.
Watsy picked it up internally. See, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
I think that, yes, I don't think that not Matt Mercer, Mike Merles didn't suddenly become woke.
No.
He's probably been, like that his whole, for quite a long time. So internally, yeah, I get what you're saying.
And Paizo was probably from the beginning.
Oh, sure.
All their people were pretty much that. James, I forget his name. Some of the others. The point is, right? So there's definitely something to that, because now it's not just you can't say devils, demons. That's not it. It's you have to be totally representative. You have to admit that orcs are black people. You have to say that alignments, no one is inherently evil. Would you say? I think I would. I feel like the woke stuff is worse than the Satanic Panic.
Right. Well, see, the Satanic Panic was external to the hobby. The woke panic is internal to the hobby. So and Max had brought this up before the stream started because he wasn't sure how long he could be here.
Sure.
But essentially, the Satanic Panic was trying to end D&D.
Yes.
On some level.
Yes.
It's no good. It should go away.
Right.
The woke mob wants to and has been largely successful in changing D&D into something else.
It's absconding with it. Yes.
Yeah. So instead of, well, it's kind of, in a way, it's ended D&D.
Mm-hmm.
The D&D isn't what it used to be.
No.
So, right. So I think where you had the Satanic Panic, where you had a bunch of concerned citizens sticking their nose into things that didn't concern them, what you have with the woke mob is there was probably some external pressure to some degree, but over time, enough people were hired in to change the internal culture of WotC enough to where they started buying into it largely and openly. Paizo was always that way. However, they did things a little differently. They never really came out and said anything, but from what I understand, most of their adventure paths, they always had to tell about this one dude that's gay.
Right from Rise of the Rune Lords, they've got a paladin and a bard they're a gay couple, and I'm just like, I don't need you to tell me that.
Right.
I mean, I literally do not care about that. And me and when you and I know I mentioned it somewhere along the line, some of the people in our group, and we played Pathfinder. We've said that for a long time, and that always rankled me, but I didn't let it stop me. But I also didn't see the writing on the wall. I didn't realize where it was going, and I think the subtleness of, oh gosh, who said this statement? Darth Theix said, "Nothing is truly unique by design," which is kind of the mantra now. Did start, and do we think? I don't. I don't know what's going on here. Fresh News 247. Satanic Metaverse. Come on now. Yeah, we're really coming on. We're serious. You're
yeah. If you don't like it, you can go somewhere else.
Yeah, and if you don't think that's true, you're nuts. And you can stay here and you can debate it, but you're wrong. Yeah. So anyway, absolutely, it is a push to control things and force people to think a certain way, just like Satanic Panic was. But I think Darth's statement did begin probably in 3rd edition, but it was subtle. I don't know if I believe that the designers were like, look, we're heading down this path with 3rd edition. I don't know if I believe that. I think it's just a game they wanted to make. They made some rules. And as people commented, hey, can I be anything? Yeah. Go ahead. What did Patrick say?
Patrick says the Satanic Panic want to destroy the hobby. The woke mob wants to take it for their own. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And the similarities are that there is a demanded purity test. You know, with the Satanic Panic, there were all these things they said because X, Y, and Z, these X, Y, and Z makes D&D demonic. The woke people say because of certain factors, all the problematic history, orcs, all these things make D&D problematic. Therefore, we must expunge all these things and make it different. So you don't make orcs evil. Orcs can be whatever, just like humans, because orcs are people too.
I want to respond here. Fresh News 247, and yeah, good. He said I was held hostage to Satan and his followers for 5 years. It's not a fun time. Absolutely, I would argue, Mr. Fresh News, and I'm not trying to be a butthole, but at first I thought you were being kind of silly with your statement. I will say this much, and this is my religious beliefs coming through. Take it or leave it. I don't care. It's what I believe. We're all held hostage to Satan. If you don't know Christ, you are, whether you admit it or not. That's my belief. That's my belief, folks. Because I believe Satan runs this world. He's the prince of the world. And so you are. Now, Mr. Fresh News may be a more serious thing. I mean, look, guys, I believe there's spiritual powers at work in the world. I do. And dark ones. So, yeah, I'm sorry if that's the case. I hope you found Christ. I hope that's what saved you. So, yeah, so I'm glad you clarified. And I think what he's saying maybe is his experience, which is as real as anybody else's. A man with an experience is not at the mercy with a man with an argument. I think that his experience could be real, and I can understand why he might think the wokeness doesn't bother him. But I will say this. I think Cat 5, glad you joined us, it is much more insidious.
Yeah.
Because the Satanic Panic was an overt thing. So, okay, this is weird. I'm going down a dangerous path. Fresh News says, wasn't just D&D, the people who held me hostage were massive magic together. Okay, so you're talking about people who played those games who did that to you. Okay, your experience could be real. I don't think that does not make D&D evil or Magic the Gathering evil. It makes those people evil.
Those people did bad things. And game didn't tell them to do it. So
no, that's just them. And it might have been a tool that they used to manipulate people. I'm not saying it wasn't. They could choose it. I could use lots of tools to manipulate people. I mean, I can use statistics to manipulate the living crap out of people, and we do it every day. So, But fresh news, I feel for you, buddy. If it was a horrible experience, sounds like it was heinous.
Yeah,
that's fine. But I fully think this woke stuff is in essence more satanic than what they said D&D was. Sorry.
Yeah.
More satanic.
Yeah.
Do what you will. Identify how you want. Reality is not truth. Truth is
men can become women. Women can become men.
Yeah.
Men can have babies.
Yeah, all that stuff's more insidious. And Max says Satanic Panic tried to burn it at the stake, but couldn't quite catch everyone. The woke panic or invasion killed D&D through cancer. Watching D&D as a doppelganger. Don't agree. Actual D&D and much of the hobby is dead. Fair enough.
The hobby, as practiced through Wizards of the Coast and Paizo, are directed in a much more I don't know. I'm trying to remember the simile I made a while back. It's like it's a demented adult version of the what are the ponies?
My Little Pony.
My Little Pony, but at the adult version.
Oh, bronies?
No, the adult version. Not bronies. Just it's with all the sexual talk and whatnot. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Tim Scott says he could lure you into his van with candy. That's true. You can use anything you want. And Max says he's in. Get ready, Tim. You got Max, dude. Kidnap him, bring him to our next game. Sweet. Candy is the lure, Joe.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's something that's definitely true. I don't think third edition D&D by rules. I don't think fourth edition D&D by rules. I don't think fifth edition D&D by the rules, the mechanics, are quote unquote a problem. You can play that game very unwoke. You absolutely can.
Mm-hmm.
But they are hinting at things. I don't think third edition meant to. If someone was in WotC and was insidiously designing Monty Cook, Skip Williams, or Jonathan Tweet, which at least two of those might be pretty woke. If they insidiously said, "Ooh, this is our plan to turn D&D away from D&D," I don't think that was the case. I think they thought they were making a good game, and I still think third edition at core is a good game. But I agree that you can see some problems leading into it. I don't think fourth edition had a lot of it in there. I just think fourth edition was not my kind of D&D game. Fifth edition, they are living it, dude.
Sure.
They are loving it. They're putting it in it. Even though the game mechanics, the core mechanics are not quote unquote woke. You could play human.
No, it's the lore.
Yeah,
it's the tone. It's what they're in their messaging. The base game isn't. I mean, it's just game rules.
Yeah, and you can like or dislike it. And you can say it's not D&D, and you can say it is D&D, and that's fine. You have your opinion. And I see Max's point. I do. It doesn't feel like TSR D&D.
For he doesn't exist.
Darren, yes. Now I would like to. Okay, now this is okay. Fresh news. Okay. This is correlation is not causality. He used host D&D games. He used them to find. Okay, fine, fair enough. Young people like games. It could have been checkers.
Yeah. So, seems like fresh news is on the Satanic Panic side of things. Yippee.
What is? Well, it's okay. I mean, look, fresh news sounds like he's been scarred or she's been scarred. And you know what? I'll extend some grace. Okay? I'll extend some grace. But Patrick, this hurts me. I never cared for Skip Williams. He really pushed the pronoun. Okay, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the third edition guys were all super woke. Or maybe, but I don't think they built the game from that viewpoint. Do you, Joe?
What's that?
I don't think the game was built third or fourth with, dude, we're going to make a super woke game. We're going to, build up.
It didn't seem like that. That's why I think Legion was saying it was subtle. So elements of their worldview started creeping in third edition, and elements of the Satanic Panic made their way into second edition in a different way.
Fresh News says, I'm unknown.
Okay, well, that's cool then.
Playing D&D, I wouldn't mind, just depends on who with. Fair enough. And your experience, again, let me say that again. I'm trying to remember who said this, but, a man with an experience, a person with an experience is not at the mercy of a man with an argument. That's a fact. So his experience could be very different, and that's fine. And that's cool that he thinks that. So he's just saying and I don't mean to put words in your mouth. I think he's saying from him, the satanic stuff that got around D&D got to him. He got around some bad people, so it hits a nerve.
Oh, I've met some weird people.
Oh, dude, to be fair, yeah, brother.
I've met some weird D&D people.
Were you the guy that met the ninja dude in the military, or was that our other?
Yeah, he wasn't a D&D guy though.
Oh, okay.
He was just a crazy person who had a ninja outfit and and when it got dark out, he wanted to run around in it.
Oh,
It didn't have anything to do with D&D. It had to do with him being nutso.
Was it you or someone else that he actually surprised? I think it was my other buddy had someone that was into it. Maybe it wasn't you that had a guy that was standing by the urinal and he didn't notice till he said hello in the middle of the night. So he goes,
that wasn't me.
Someone else mentioned that. He said, dude was like, he was a ninja. And I was like, whatever. And then he did that. And I said, maybe you are. Okay, Fresh News. Cool, baby. Yeah, so wokeness. What did you think of the article by Barry Weiss?
That was a general purpose article about the woke culture that's really in a lot of industries.
How do we fight back, right?
Right. So in the end of that article, let's see if I can where's it at? 10 ways, yeah. The end of that article, use your capital to build original, interesting, and generative things right now.
Yes.
Okay, so make like-minded friends. So that's gatekeeping.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
Trust your own eyes and ears. Don't let other people tell you what's what.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
And just follow them blindly. And worship God more than Yale. I like that one.
That's funny. She is a liberal. She used to she used to be a big writer for the New York Post, and she just saw the writing on the wall and got out. She's a true liberal in the sense that she wants freedom of expression and discussion of ideas. She's not a progressive. And it's fascinating to me that I think she hit it in that last one about when you have good ideas. That spoke to me today. Patrick can confirm. I got I mentioned earlier, when my Indiegogo comics came in, I got 2 issues of First Man by Andy Smith, a superhero thing. And my wife saw it. I'm going to pump my boy Patrick up here. And she said, Patrick could draw better than that. She said, Patrick could draw circles around this guy. And I said, really? I said, maybe I know comic books really well. Patrick knows Doctor Strange, but I know comic books. I was like, I wonder and I told Patrick, what if in my retirement, and I wrote a comic and you illustrated it? I think that would be awesome. Now, I don't know if I could do a good job. Patrick's got an English background in a degree. He might be able to even write better than I know, better than me for sure. But it would be interesting to do that. And that idea, and the idea that, you mentioned to me, Joe, because I have a lot of ideas and personal opinions on education today as an educator for 30 years. And Joe's like, why don't you start your own quote unquote school on the internet and teach certain things? And whether it be internet or not, I feel like that might be a direction I go. I may try to build a school that doesn't, conform to things that are out there. Because I think there's a lot of parents, especially after the COVID bullcrap, have learned what our education system is like. And there's a market for that.
Right.
But that's just that spoke to me.
Right. And so, right. And I get that. Make your own thing. And if you can't find a good thing to do, make your own. That's a good idea, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. So I thought Barry had some good points there. That's a way to fight back at some of that stuff. I think I thought it was interesting that she was big on the, what is it? Big on the gatekeeping, even though she didn't use that word. That kind of surprised me.
Right. So if you don't like it, leave it. And these are the things that we said about brands here.
Yeah.
If you don't like Wizard of the Coast as a company, Wizard of the Coast does not market to us, then you don't buy their stuff. Do your own thing. Find companies that are marketing to you and do good quality work.
Yeah.
Just because it's not woke doesn't mean it's good.
No.
Right. So, yes.
I agree with Max. At Fresh News 247, RPG Gate, escapism, not representation, entertainment over activism, natural inclusion, not forced diversity, play with anyone who wants to play the way you do and have fun. I added the way you do.
Yeah. Editorialized on the fly.
Yeah, I did that. Look at me. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I will further editorialize that.
Oh, let's put it back up. We're going to editorialize Max. You better
I'm editorializing you. So find people that you can play with that your play style meshes with. They don't have to be identical.
No, because we're not.
They have to mesh. When everybody sits down, they should all mesh. So I might be a little more aggressive, seeking the plot and pushing the game forward. Other people might be a little more timid, but they don't care that I'm a little more aggressive, and I don't care that they're timid within the game. They follow along. I push forward. Other people will fit in between there. Some people might be even more aggressive, and then that'll be more interesting.
Yeah. Joe and I mean, the reason we play together is because we really are. We think a lot alike. We're like, I would say we're 90 maybe 95% straight down the line in agreement. Though Joe, is wrong in about 10% of the stuff, and I have to fix him on that. But other than that, we work out pretty well.
Your status as co-host here is
He's on the edge.
On the edge.
Joe, private message. Anyone interested in being a co-host of Biggest Geekest? This may be Randy's last show. Joe was secretly typing. So, oh, Patrick had a funny one. Look at this. I once had the bank try to sell me D&D insurance. I was disappointed to discover he was selling death and dismembered insurance, not Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. And then who responded? Was it Darren? No, hold on. Dragapole, yeah. At Patrick, I saw AD&D.
Yeah.
Death and dismembered. Yeah. Yeah. Well, fresh news, he says he doesn't play D&D. With your experience, it may be off the table. He mentioned about being okay with his kids or she, or I don't know, your preferred, not a preferred pronoun. I don't know if you're a guy or a girl. It's cool. But I'm just saying that I understand. An experience like his, which could be really bad, could put you off role playing. Understand?
Sure.
Yeah. So anyway.
So the moral panic we're dealing with now is internal.
Yes.
It's pointing at the history of D&D as problematic because it was made by a bunch of white dudes in middle America, one of the flyover states that they call it these days. And so everything about it is problematic. You have Oriental Adventures being problematic because, according to some people, it was made by white dudes, and what do they know about the Orient, even though the credits are filled with Asian names. So it was not made in a vacuum, just some white dude. Even if it was, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Oriental Adventures, Al-Qadim. There. I don't know if there was any other ethnic type books back in the day, but those two have been targeted as problematic. And anything that gives a race in D&D an essence is problematic. So if orcs are essentially evil, it's a code for them being black.
Yep.
With goblins, people talk about mongrel men being code for the other, and somehow code for black people as well. Who knows? It's all. Mazteca. Yes, Mazteca was Central South American themed, and it was cool stuff as well. And so all of that got targeted, as well as the folks using all kinds of the intersectional quote unquote logic and as a lens to deconstruct D&D and remove its colonial roots and its roots in colonialism, white supremacy, misogyny, every ist and phobe you can think of. So it had to be cleansed, and that's what's going on now. And with Wizards of the Coast especially, Paizo, I think to a lesser extent. Initially, with their second edition, they wanted to tell you how to play games at your table with respect to you have to include all these categories of people in your game or you can't play. I mean, that was an early release of the rules, and they ended up taking that out. But the woke part of Paizo was more in their lore and more in insinuation more than anything else. They've had their iconic folks. There's one of them that because they shape changed, it represents trans people somehow, which is stupid.
Right.
And apparently shape changers, and this is in comic books, apparently shape changers in comic books are trans people too.
Yeah. This is a good point too by Mark, because there's a little discussion going on about trans and who plays D&D. News Fresh brought up the idea that he seems like a lot of D&D is considered being played when he goes to game stores, I assume, by queers, like Punk's played it before. And when he says queers, I'm assuming the definition, which I posted in the chat, queer being from deviation from what is expected or normal, odd or conventional, eccentric, and it could be gay or whatever. It's fine because he's mostly true. It's mostly true that the weirdos are coming out, and whether you think they're weird or not, they are, and that's how they play. That's what 5e is about. It's drawing it in. It's about representation, and people are being drawn to it. Now, when I played back in the 80s, I played in college. I had a lot of homosexual friends that played. Had a lot of people that were, identified all kinds of weird ways. We didn't use that terminology, but they did. And as long as they weren't trying to say, Randy, you're horrible because of this, yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't really care. And Mark Markin makes a good point to that. I never ask about the in real life lifestyles of people who want to play with me, as long as they don't want to push their agenda on me. Online, my whole group could be gender fluid furries, and I'd never know. Yeah, and that's the way I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, you mentioned last week about having a little decorum, and we used to be a
discretion.
Little more discretion.
They're discreet. Being discreet is just not part of the culture anymore. Everybody has to tell everybody else, their sexual orientation and what they, all the things that they do. They got to share. We are an oversharing culture. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Back when we were young in our 20s, I mean, Joe was a king-size player. I didn't want to hear about his little conquests and stuff. I said, keep it to yourself, dude. Mac Daddy. But, some people, they got to do what they got to do. So, wow. So let's kind of, so I think we're in agreement. We think woke stuff's worse because it's too insidious not to be worse. They are different, and we fight them. And I think we can fight them in similar ways in the sense that we can be, short of what Barry Weiss lists, which are great practical ways. I think the whole point of just being derisive and saying, no, I'm not going to follow your little woke-itude, and I have no time for that crap.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that for those of us who the current state of the hobby isn't marketed, we just do our own thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of that, you feel like we're done? You want to slide into the last topic? Do you want to do segment 3? It is 9:08. I think we can do
Yeah, we can do that.
You want to share some with the folks what they should be doing right now, though?
Yes, I will share. I will do that.
They need to know some stuff as we train.
Sharing.
Yeah, subscribe, baby.
Hit yes.
Love us. Yeah.
We please, subscribe, like, comment, share with your friends the show.
Oh, dude, I agree with Darren. I would really like some of this white privilege.
Yeah.
What's it like?
Yeah. Yeah. And, all of this talk that we just got through having about the woke end of our hobby, according to some, this is just a sign of our white privilege.
Dude, look, I got news for you. I grew up, we lived with my grandmother for many years. Joe knows that. Joe, my partner, that way, he was even worse off, dude. I mean, I'm not going to tell a story, but it was tough. Joe lived in a tough place. So I don't want to hear about people that, because I'm a person of color, I have this. There are plenty of people of color that live better than you and me back then, even. So I don't want to hear it. No. Everybody we have some folks that were economically disadvantaged. I was lucky to have some help. Joe had less, so he had to work a little harder, unfortunately. So, yeah, I mean, we all have things we have to overcome, but don't act like because it's color of my skin, I'm privileged. Shut up.
Right.
With the 1840s. Get over yourself.
And the whole person of color mantra, we all have a color.
Black, white. Yeah.
Yeah. We all have a color to our skin. I'm not transparent.
When I go outside, I'm kind of turn red because Okay, but you talked about let's transition to segment 3.
Segment 3. We are playing in the mud.
It's been on my mind. And I haven't done much about it, but it's been on my mind. And I kind of want to, this is going to be kind of just a talk to my buddy here, and you guys can chime in if you want. Setting is going to motivate rules, right?
I think so. I mean, unless you want generic. If you want generic rules and the rules, I mean, I guess you can make rules that aren't generic by making them very different, but I think we'd be hard pressed to reinvent the wheel to such a degree that the rules themselves are unique enough to say, hey, we got this new rule set that nobody else has. I mean,
yeah, I don't think
you can try, but
I don't feel like I'm not sure if I'm inspired enough to think of if it comes along, great. If a new mechanic, I think our best bet is to run a D20, create a D20-ish style game, probably, because you and I like that. Not everybody does, but we do. And I think, having said that, other than that, that's the only rule I want to say we're probably going to be doing because we're going to be comfortable with it. If during creation we go, well, here's a cool thing in the setting, we can't emulate that with a cool skill check. What if we did this? And who knows, it might open our eyes to, wow, this mechanic may be more robust than we realize. But I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm not thinking mechanics because I'm thinking D20, and the stuff we've written is all over the place. The bits of when we did a little bit of work, I did a lot of writing for Mudsword 1.0 when we were basing it loosely off OD&D or Swords and Wizardry, very loosely. And I think that back me, and I don't think I was fully satisfied with that. And I think because I didn't fully go from, I want to do more setting. And maybe you think maybe be good for us to work on the setting and just grab a rule set and play it in the setting and not worry as much about rules, even though you and I are leaning a little bit toward 3X. Again, it's back in our forefront. So we could do a stripped down 3X if we wanted to. But part of me would like to just say, let's grab a rule set and play and let our setting develop and see what happens. Things we like and things we don't like.
Yeah, I think we start. Yeah. So to your point with setting, I think starting there,
yeah,
and providing a unique setting,
mm-hmm.
I think that is probably something more interesting to people.
Yeah.
It may not, but I think it is a lot more interesting to have a setting that's different than a generic fantasy setting.
Mm-hmm.
Still fantasy. I would lean to more towards sword and sorcery than medieval. We have a lot of that already. We have a lot of sword and sorcery too, but it's more to my taste, I think. Yeah, I know Mr. Max over at Legion of Myth, Forbidden Lands. Yes. Drink.
Yeah. I would love to play that. He has to drink with Forbidden Lands now?
Isn't that the drinking game?
Earth Dawn's his drinking.
Earth Dawn. That's true.
He does like Forbidden Lands, but he's in love with Earth Dawn. I don't think I am, but I don't think I dislike it. I like Earth Dawn.
Yeah, Earth Dawn.
What? So my last question is not really relevant then, because I'm not sure what our mechanics go. So I think I need to get busy on some of the setting. I do think yours is broad enough that I can. What I notice is when you send me stuff in Google Docs, your ideas for setting are broad, though it shows a theme. And I know you like the idea of less is more.
So yeah, so you have a theme, you hit the high points on an initial release. I know some people like 600-page books with lots of detail for their settings because they don't want to make anything up, and I get that. Other people would rather have a light touch, more of a gazetteer type of situation, which is, I think for us would be a better way to start.
Start, because, and I think once I'm DMing again, which won't be long, the details will fill in itself. Because when I start DMing, it's not going to be broad, because you know how I'm going to get in there and go, here's a thing, and I'm going to make it a thing. It's going to happen. But we can decide once I do. I'm more than happy to discuss whether it's good or not. It's just an idea that I have while we're playing, and we can discuss whether we want to put that in there or not. I think if we get too broad, you lose uniqueness. And I'll use 13th Age as the discussion point for that. I think it's got a lot of cool ideas, as we mentioned before, but I think it's kind of blah because it's just a whole bunch of random crap.
Yes.
I mean, on a whole, you kind of look at 13th Age, you go, holy crap, how can all this stuff be happening?
Right.
You know, and then on the other hand, You're like, oh, that's neat, that's neat, that's neat. I mean, I could literally say everything I've read, almost every idea they have in their setting part of the book, I love, but it's too much.
Right.
And
it's another kitchen sink type setting.
And it's not cohesive.
Right.
And so I think we can be broad for us initially, but we have to dig in. And I don't want to go Dragonlance. I don't want to have this one story that tells everything.
No. No. So I think broadly speaking, you have, it's more of a points of light, it's more of a points of light setting and less cosmopolitan.
Yes.
Like a lot of settings want to be these days. Lots of cities, lots of villages, lots of civilization. I'm sorry.
I think, but
so points of light.
Yeah, but I think if you got to be careful with that. Broad strokes can be bland, and so I think we can say, here's the setting, and it can be broad. And then when I write an adventure, or you write an adventure, or you write a little story, then we dig in. And say,
sure.
And we could also qualify, say, this is how we think about it. Right.
Right. So points of light gives lots of room for there to be all kinds of things out there that aren't known broadly. So you can have a few large cities, lots of towns, some villages, and then lots of space in between.
Yeah.
And then in that space, you have ruins, you have hideouts, you have places where monsters concentrate, because civilization, you could just say the nature of civilization itself keeps monsters at bay, because civilization is order, and order repels a lot of the chaos of monsterhood, monsterdom.
Right. And that'll be great in our gazetteer.
Yeah.
And then when I dig into these ruins on an adventure, all of a sudden that old keep was once a great monastery run by the Dark Brotherhood, right? And then I start digging into who they were. They were followers of darkness. They worshipped an enigmatic being called whatever. And then here we go. And then I can fill that out. And of course, if we publish it, we can say, and we can have a little statement in that says, this is our version of Hymir, So We'll see what happens. Yeah. But I think we have to dig in. And in play, that's what I want to happen. And when I run, because I'll probably do most of the running, I want you and other people to go, Randy, that was fun, or it was okay, or it wasn't fun. And in particular, I thought this idea was good, or this idea seemed a little weird. It doesn't seem to fit. And I'll cry, and I'll say, you're right, and I'll go back to the drawing board. Boy, our discussion is they are down in the weeds on the Geek-itude.
Right.
All right, though. Go on, baby. Do your thing.
Right.
Anything that was that's on your mind about Mudsword? Because we've kind of taken a bit of a hiatus from it.
Well, we went to Cabin Con, and then I was sick right afterwards, and it's taken a long time for me to be motivated even to just get into my computer.
I wish I was writing, but I'm just thinking about it.
Right.
And I need to get back into it. And I know part of it is, too, I'm highly motivated to play some D&D. Oh, let me show you this, dude, while we're here. People that are listening will not appreciate this, but those that are watching might. This is that Andy Smith First Man comic that I...
Okay, cool.
It's if you look, it might be hard to see. It's issue, I don't know if you can see, issue 1.2.
Oh.
Which I believe was the second printing, was kind of interesting because I actually got in on issue 2, First Man, and it's a superhero story that doesn't, shy away from stuff as far as, doesn't try to be super woke. I don't believe. I'm looking forward to it. And anyway, so I'm glad some of my Indiegogo projects are coming in, and I can't wait for my next Graham Nolan because his stuff is boss. I should let you borrow some of his stories. You would love them, especially when the Two-Fisted Manly Tales comes out soon.
Yeah. I definitely want to read a couple of yours before I
sure.
Sink any money into it.
Yeah, because these aren't cheap. I mean, these are like $30 books because they got to do it themselves, right? They can't give you but they're thick. I mean, look, they're not like they're not a 32 page. They're like a 60 page.
Oh, that's cool.
Novel. Yeah, but I mean, they're not, it's still, it's a lot to lay down for a book when you could buy the same thing probably for $15 at Walden Books or $16, but you're supporting people who don't hate you.
Correct. So you've read them already?
I have not. I just got them. So
well, let me know.
Yes. I've
because
got
another thing
modern
modern comics is there's lots of ads and junk in there as well.
Oh, well, hold on then. Let me do a little exploration. I love this little sticker. Andy uses astonishing comics. I don't know if you can. Astonishing Comics. It puts a little sticker on the back of the plastic, which I really like that. That's just easy for opening and shutting. But I don't believe we're going to have Ad Fest. This will impress you. Yes, Joseph, there are literally none.
Good deal.
Ads. Except for the beginning, tells who it is, not an ad. But
that's not an ad. No.
There's no ads. It's all story, dude.
Good deal.
So that's a beautiful thing. And I've found that to be true in my Kickstarter books because, well, they're not supported by a lot of the media and people that would normally support them. So, they don't have to pay for advertising. That's not their thing. They're doing this themselves.
Right.
And I think Ethan Van Sciver, while I'm kind of okay with Cyberfrog, about the big, thick Cyberfrog, it's pretty good. It's a little Deadpoolish, I'd mentioned once before, but I don't think it's something, I don't know. I'll probably support him because I just like the dude. So
okay, well, to each his own. I mean, if you like the comic
I like, I don't love.
Okay.
I'm waiting for a superhero comic I love. So I'm hoping this will be one of them.
Oh, that's cool, Green Apple. No ads in any of the Comicscape books. That's good.
Nice. Yes, me too. And
you're paying for stories, not more sales presentations.
Truth. And I did get my Ascension All-Star Squadron comic book. Who's the guy? I got the PDF from the guy that's doing the Ascension role-playing game, superhero role-playing game. And I've got the PDF, and it's good. It's really good. And I haven't got the paperback. So when I get the paperback, I'll let you borrow that because I've already read it, and it was really good.
You like the Ascension system?
No, I've got the comic book.
It's a comic book. Right.
No, role-playing game book has not been delivered yet because I ordered the second edition because I didn't want to pay extra money for the first. So
I have not quite completely caught up on Eric July. I fell behind. I'm about 4 episodes behind.
Yeah.
So I don't know how far caught up you are. He's still in process, but getting close.
I hope he does because I do hear some people, and this is detractors, saying you haven't made anything yet, man. Why don't you make something? So I hope he doesn't end up not getting it made. I don't think he will. I think
he has gotten it made. It's just the last I heard, I'm 4 episodes behind. Mm-hmm. He's got his warehouse set up. He just needs to get the racking system set up so that he can order the comics, have them delivered, and have has the organization in place for them to be in the warehouse and ready for fulfillment.
Okay. Oh, I need to follow his Facebook page, I think, because I really want to get into that.
Yes, Legion of Myth. Eric July got kicked off of PayPal, but he got reinstated.
Why did he get kicked off?
Because some automated system likely was kicked off by one of his haters, or several of them, most likely. Someone like him, he's very outspoken, against the grain, kind of a fella. So definitely against the whole woke tide. And so folks like him get caught up, even though he's a black fella and they're supposed to support black people. He's not the right kind of black person.
No, he's the wrong black person. He's way. Yeah. I saw an old video of his. He said he used to be a leftist, but he's not so much now.
Yeah, way back in the day when he was in college.
Green Apple, I kind of agree, but I feel like I understand. He's going to tell superhero stories, which is why I'm excited. He doesn't know any details, and honestly, look, I'm a different cat. Green Apple says, I wish Eric July would tell us what the comic books are about already. I don't know anything about them. Fair enough. He's told me they're superheroes. He's not going to be in Geek-itude. He's going to be cool, his own universe.
He's not leading with identity.
Nope. And he's not into the multiverse, so we don't expect a lot of multiverse shenanigans, but which I'm fine with. People aren't, but I'm fine with it in general. But having said that, I want some good superhero comics because all my superheroes that I love are done. I can't read them anymore. I mean, all I can do is get old comics, which is fine. I've been thinking about pulling my, multiple long boxes out and doing some old reading of Batman. And I might start filling in some of the blanks that I have. I never thought I'd want to do that, but I might, and go buy the old ones if they're not too outrageously priced.
I would guess that the main character is a brawler.
Yes, probably.
I'm just listening to him talk and what his favorite types of superheroes are.
He likes the bat. He liked the bat.
And he likes brawlers. So
Yeah,
the guy's probably going to be a super-powered brawler of some kind. He's going to have others. He's got other characters in his universe. But
now, you said he's ghost-written comics in the past?
He's ghost-written. I don't know about comics, but he has ghost-written. He's been a ghost writer. I don't know how long it's been since he's done this last project. And because he's a ghost writer, he doesn't get credit. He just gets paid. Right, Mar Hockman.
Yeah, you can get people banned on PayPal by mass reporting for fraud. Yeah, that's ridiculous. And Green Apple says, I hope they are good. I'm buying the first one unless the art just looks like utter dog poop, but I can't imagine that it will. And
he said he went through a lot of a lot to find good art. Yeah. He had essentially he announced it on his channel, and he said, submit it here. And he said he didn't like almost any of it.
Well, he missed out. If he wanted to save some money, he should have hired our boy Patrick. Some good art. But I know he probably wants a different style. Patrick's got his own unique style. And it's not, always standard superhero-ness. But I think it's really good. I enjoy it. But I'm biased. He's one of my buds.
Especially the last T-shirt. Hopefully the reprints are as good.
Yeah, mine. Oh, Patrick, mine got washed, and it's dog poop. So, and I did it inside out, just like we tried, and I said I was going to try it. It didn't come out. It got ruined. The thing is, but they're cool. That company's cool. They're replacing them all. So you can't beat that with a stick, man. People stand by their work. All right. Oh, Max is heading out. That's interesting because we probably should wrap this up too.
Yeah.
He's heading out. Have a good weekend. Great rest of the stream. We're about done.
Yeah, we are about done.
Take her easy, Max.
Yes, as far as setting, so with playing in the mud, setting, we start with setting. Yes. I think that informs the rules to a degree, and then it becomes kind of a back and forth where some setting informs rules, some rules inform setting, and then at some point we'll be able to just have a workflow.
Yeah. I think that's going to be a good thing, and I think our Google Doc will work, and it'll be all right. So I'm pretty pumped. You ready about boogie on out of here, man? We are.
Yes. Anything else from you?
I don't think so, other than I'm ready to play some games, man. I think I'm feeling the itch, dude. I'm getting to where I want to run a campaign. It's going to happen. Yeah, Patrick, you have my vote, brother.
Yes.
Trying to say he's passable. I wish I was that passable. I would take it.
Yeah. And yes, passable plus.
Passable plus, dude.
All right. So if there's all right, if there's nothing else, if you'd like to support the show, please like, subscribe, and share where you are listening or viewing the show. Also, it'd be cool to get if you want to review it on the audio podcast side, whoever's listening, some reviews would be cool, and all that. We do release the audio for our podcast, for our live stream, our YouTube show. We do release the audio in podcast form through Anchor, and it's distributed it's distributed to everywhere you get your podcast. You can support us monetarily at PayPal, paypal.me/biggestgeekus, Streamlabs at streamlabs.com/biggestgeekus1, the number 1, /tip, Anchor, anchor.fm/biggestgeekus. There will be a way for you to donate to us there. And thank you to our 2 donators, Patrick, who's been on tonight in the chat, and we have a monthly from him and from Arnman.
Dude, Arnman, dude, he's still helping us out. What a good dude.
He's still helping us out. So
See
thank
why
you to
Patrick so much? Because he pays us. If you
become
pay me,
part of our crew.
If you pay me, I will like you.
Yes. It's funny how it works that way.
It is funny.
Yes, and we are on the web on our we have a website, biggestgeekestpodcast.com. It needs improvement, but we probably need some money to improve it. So it's functional. It works. You can email us with questions and comments, concerns, suggestions. If you have any ideas for topics you want to send our way, send it to us via email at the geeks at biggestgeekestpodcast.com. We're on all the social networks, all the big ones, Twitter, Facebook, MeWe. MeWe's not necessarily a big one, but we're on Twitter and Facebook. We're also on MeWe. We have a Discord and Gilded servers that are, the links will be in the show notes. And our videos are posted obviously on YouTube and on Odyssey. I'm running into space issues there because of the way Odyssey works. You need to have their credits, whatever they have a credit system over there.
Gotcha.
And every time you post, you have to attach some of that to it. And I've pretty much run out. So
can you remove old ones and get your credit back?
I could, but what's the point of having a secondary backup if your whole library is not there?
Yeah.
So.
All right, man. Is there a way to get around that, or do you got to purchase more credits?
Well, if you use, I'm pretty sure the link that I have here to Odyssey should help us, especially if you. I'm pretty sure the link I have set up here. I have to check. I have to make sure that I have a link that someone can use, but they. I think it's for someone who's new to the platform, and they sign up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know if you watch content, you get credits, but it's very slow trickle. They slowed it down.
Oh, okay.
It used to be a daily watch. Now it's 3 times a week.
Mobile. Okay.
So, in any event, we are over on Odyssey. Just search for Biggest Geekus, and obviously at YouTube.
Yeah. Hey, thanks to everybody that showed. I think folks are bugging out. We did appreciate it. We had a really lively chat. Even the part where they were talking, they just continued on the woke stuff, which is no surprising because our peoples here don't put up with that bull crap. And it was good to see people. I want to make a special comment to, I think, Draco Pole. Is he new or has he been on before?
Yeah.
Okay. And News 247, thanks for sharing, dude. Even if we disagreed, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you stayed. I'm glad you clarified. Bruce just showing up. Dude, we're bugging out, son. But you can watch the rewind. Yes, you can. You'll love it. So, but yeah, man, good to have people. What some great discussion. I mean, I wish I could have commented on all of it. It was good stuff.
Right. It's hard to. It's hard for us to talk and then comment in there at the same time.
Yes, sir. But it's fun to try.
At some point when we get a bigger following, maybe we'll be able to have someone in there, part of our team.
When we get our millions, when we have to have a team to prep us before we come in, put on
or at least our thousands.
Put on our makeup, have a green room. Or no, what is it? Is that a green room? Yeah, prep room, all that good stuff. Oh, makeup.
You can put up makeup.
Did I say makeup? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even say it.
You can be a girl if you like.
Girliness. Sweet.
All right. Is there anything else?
Nada, man. Let's get the heck out of here.
All right. So, that being the case, this is Joe.
And I'm Randy.
And remember, if you can't be big like us, then be geeks like us.